It's that time where we have to talk sport. It's that time where we have to travel all the way to the various pitches in and out of Cameroon to look at what's transpiring. And mind you, we are exactly 30 days to the 2026 FIFA World Cup that is going to be played in Canada, Mexico, and America. Are all my African representatives ready? Mind you, June 11, 2026 is the kick-off date. Like I told you, these and more are the stories that we are going to be bringing to you in terms of our sports updates for today and the program. But before we get to that part of the program, let's take this break, and when we come back, we continue talking sports. Once more, if you're just joining us, you're on to Royal Television, and the program on your screen is Sport Box by me, Sonny Tangoni, and equally to reiterate the fact that the program comes up every Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays equally, and Saturdays, and equally to tell you that Arsenal had a beautiful weekend, defeating West Ham 1-0, and the likes of Barcelona grabbed another La Liga title after defeating Real Madrid over the weekend 2-0. And mind you, one of the beautiful gestures that I like about that particular game was the fact that after 90 minutes of play, it was Vinicius Jr. equally who went through greeting all the players of Barcelona. A gesture that many media will not talk about it, but to me, it means a lot, especially with the fact that this particular player has always been termed arrogant and a lot of other things. But I equally want to say it's time for Real Madrid to use the FIFA windows period to go back into the drawing board. Make sure that every other thing is well put in place. If it's to sign players, to go ahead and sign. If it's to maintain discipline at the level of the team, Real Madrid, the ball remains in your court. And nevertheless, despite the bad results for this particular season, once a Real Madrid fan, always a Real Madrid fans. Hala Madrid for life. And equally, let us switch away from Real Madrid and talk about what transpired in Bafang over the weekend. Mind you that for those who were following us last week, I told you that there were going to be interesting fixtures for match day 18 of the Southwest Regional League. And equally, one of those most interesting fixtures was the likes of Unisport and Canon Sportive of Yaoundé. I tell you, 2 to 3 seasons ago, it was the aspect of using salt to enter before entering the pitch. And Canon derived another strategy against Unisport, in which, despite the heavy pouring over there in the West region, the players of Canon Sportif of Yaoundé were transported onto the pitch by carrying them on the back. Don't ask me why they decided, but let's take a look at what transpired before the game, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé and Unisport. Don't ask me why Canon Sportif of Yaoundé players were carried on the back. Like I told you, when we talk about sport, many people salt, brother. Many people will remember bamboo tools of Buddha, who will always bring salt onto the pitch. And this time around, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé decided to change the strategy. So why not? They were put on the pitch after they did their little stuff. They went back out of the pitch. As you can see, we're back on our technician to bring us back that video where after they were brought into the field of play, they went out by themselves and they started changing. The big question is, why did they carry them on their backs when they could walk with their legs? And after getting into the pitch, why did they still move out of the pitch to change? Mind you, they did not use the dressing room over there in Bafang. They rather change on the touchline or away from the touchline. And you ask yourself a lot of questions. Is it that they saw Unisport using black magic? Or, only the players of Canon Sportive of Yaoundé can tell you what made them to use that strategy. And I tell you, mind you, we are getting closer to the end of the Elite One Championship. So teams are doing everything possible to grab all points. And equally, that particular game, I must tell you, ended on a 0-0 tie between Canon and Unisport. Meanwhile, with that 0-0 tie, Unisport still remains at the end of the classification table after 18 playing days. And let's take you now to the results of match day 18 of the MTN Elite One Championship. Let's take a look at how some clubs actually performed during the return of this particular one. And I'm equally to tell you that one of the most beautiful fixtures or results that caught my attention is the likes of PWD of Bamenda, who came back into their winning ways. And equally to tell you that PWD of Bamenda returned into the second phase of the competition has been fed up with a lot of defeat, especially with the fact where they had to travel to Garwa, where they were defeated by Cotton Sport of Garwa and the likes of Gazelle. And coming back equally to why not make her take away in a road game, it was PWG of Bamenda that smite on match day 18. And equally, let's look at the results so far of match day 18 of the MTN Elite One Championship. Look at teams that were able to grab possible points. And first on our classification table is Unisport 0, Canon Sportive 0. Aigle Royal of the Mongo equally was defeated by Colombe Sportive of Nja and Lobo 3-1, and the likes of Cotton Sport of Garwa, who slapped Fuvu Azul 2-0. Gazelle equally picked up a 0-0 tie against RS Fortuna, and PWD of Bamenda smiled all the way in the West region, defeating Panther Sportive of Nda 2-1, and it was Dinamo equally that defeated Stade Renard 2-1. Aigle Royal of the Menwa whitewash Victoria United of Limbe 4-1 to make it more than 20 goals equally scored on match day 18 of the MTN Elite One Championship. And now let's take you straight away to the classification table after these particular results were equally attained. And where we have Unisport at the end of the classification table. Mind you, that home game against Canon Sportif of Yaoundé is going to be the very second to the last home game that they are going to play, which means that on the last day of the MTN Elite One Championship, Canon Sportif of Yaoundé will only come back home to play Dynamo Football Club of Douala, and that is going to be the last home game of Unisport. And equally to tell you that the remaining playing days, she's definitely going to be playing at home. And equally to tell you that that particular game against Canon raised over 3-point-something million out of gate taking. Mind you, that game was played at exactly 8 p.m. still in the West region. And the big question is, will other teams derive this particular strategy to be playing their games in the night to be able to have not just the revenue but equally an influx of spectators to why not graze the emotions of such games? And equally, let's go back to our classification standings after 18 playing days of the MTN Elite One Championship, where second position is title holders Colombe Sportif of Nja and Lobo with the likes of 31 points, followed by Dynamo 31 points, Cotton Sport 31 points, Canon 28, Victoria United 27, Gazelle 26 points, and the likes of PWG of Bamenda 26 points, Panther Sportive 25 points, Aigle Royal of the Menwa 21 points, Stade Renard 19 points, Fivu Azul 14 points. And at the level of the 13 and 14 position, red zone and relegation zone, we have RS Fortuna with just 13 points and the likes of Aigle Royal of the Mongo with just 12 points played. And that is it in terms of the MTN Elite One Championship after 18 playing days. Away from that, let us talk about the under-20s World Cup qualifiers for the African zone. Mind you, just four countries were supposed to qualify. And unfortunately for Team Cameroon, they will not. But before we get to talk about Cameroon, let's look at the results so far that we attained in terms of the under-20 Women's World Cup qualifier, where it was the return leg. Mind you, Team Cameroon actually defeated Tanzania at home 3-1. But traveling over to Zanzibar, Tanzania defeated Cameroon 2-0 and they won or they qualified through the away goal rule. And we have Uganda that picked up a 1-1 tie against Ghana. The likes of Malawi equally defeated Nigeria 2-1, making it an aggregate of 2-3, and Nigeria passes on to the qualifiers. And meanwhile, we had Tanzania equally that defeated Cameroon aggregate 3-3, and due to the away goal, it is Tanzania that qualifies. Benin defeated Ivory Coast 4-1, an aggregate of 5-2, and Benin and Tanzania qualify for their first ever under-20 Women's World Cup after spectacular performance. And equally for Tanzania, the away goal scored in Cameroon takes her through the under-20 World Cup that will be coming up in some months ahead. And that is what we are going to be looking at today in terms of this particular edition. The 20 Lions of Cameroon are going to be missing the World Cup. What attests to this? Mind you, before they traveled, it was a 3-1 victory for Team Cameroon, which means that just a little push of concentration Cameroon needed to imply in that particular game to grab the ticket to the World Cup for the under-20 category. And equally, let's take out this break. When we come back, we are going to be meeting our guests for the program today, where we are going to be looking at some of the reasons that contributed to Cameroon not qualifying for the under-20 Women's World Cup. And yes, if you equally want to contribute to the program, the number is right on your screen. You are going to be looking at the reasons why the under-20 couldn't. The Rada was defeated on the score line. And equally, you are going to be meeting my guests for today. We have Jamia Take Care in the building and the likes of Ngome Mike. You both are welcome on the program today.
Thank you very much. the weekend, and of course we've seen quite a lot. The Southwest Regional League concluded, and we've had the Guinness Super League which going on, and the Elite One gradually drawing to the most critical end, though Unisport of Bafang enjoying a 9-point lead at the moment, and they don't look like a team that will be dropping anytime soon. 10 games unbeaten, and of course you understand that the polemics in the game against Canon of Yaoundé had to play a vital role in the maybe drawing attention, which was not positive attention to our championship, but like you underscored, it has always been Canon being sensitive to stuff like this, and mind you, even the game against Bambutus, which you spoke about, it ended I think on a tie 2-2 draw, and of course last time out as well, the Canon game ended 0-goal or tie. It's the second time Canon haven't failed in successive game, have failed not to score in the championship, but still yet they are among the 4 teams that are enjoying a magnificent second round so far, because if you want to classify that, you put Colomb on second spot, which they are there. They have transformed their first round going into this second segment, and of course we look at Canon Sportif of Yaoundé. Maybe Dynamo comes first, and then Canon Sportifs of Yaoundé comes second, or the likes. And I was hoping at the start of the season to see Gazelle make what they usually do, but at some point in time it seems Gazelle have dropped down a little bit, but it's football, and of course it doesn't work all the way for you as we hoped, but we hoping to see how Gazelle will do in the coming days. I think March the 19th is gradually approaching. We'll have to see other teams coming up, PWD of Bamenda back to winning ways, and some sort of Victoria United denied a 3rd consecutive win. And what struck my attention in that game is they were leading at halftime. Egle took a red card, and then things overturned, and it's understandable against Egle because they have a man exceptionally on fire, and for Chubles, he's scoring, I think, a hat-trick so far for Aigle Royal of the Mongo. What's most surprising about this team and the player in particular is Aigle are not in the top half of the table, but they have a man who is already running away with the golden shoe of the championship this season. It is 15 goals scored in 15 games, a total of 19 goal contributions for the Chubles. And when we see Jules Amanko coming up maybe with 10 goals to that, it really speaks about what these guys really want in terms of pushing ahead for that golden shoe. We've seen what came as benefit for the best player last season in terms of Serge Daura, who collected a whole lot of incentive, and maybe these guys are motivated by all of this, and we're hoping to see how it goes. But it's a really phenomenal performance from Zifo Chubles, someone who we knew that leaving PWD was some sort of a plummeting decision he made, but it's changing to a magnificent rise for this striker. And like I said, before the game against Victoria United, Zifo Chubles came up against, I think he scored against Canon, Aigle Royal of the Menua, and that was the first time in over 5 games that Canon had conceded in a game on, I think, March the 17th, going up against Aigle Royal of the Mongo. So Aigle might not be performing, but this man some sort of manages to get his numbers up to his name, and I believe the team would want to keep him, but hopefully he gets something really exciting out of the season that he's enjoying so far.
Definitely, and equally in the building we have Jemia. Take care, but before Jemia, you have to talk about the MTN Elite One. Once more, congratulations. Arsenal continues to smile.
Well, yeah, we continue to smile. You know, it was the most difficult game, like I said last week, which you have in the series of games that Arsenal had to play, and they had to come against a West Ham side that was so compact. They had to defend for their lives at the London Stadium, and so knowing that that game was a crucial one, you understand that Arsenal had to win that particular game to give themselves that grip on the title. But the title is still far from over, knowing that City still has that game in hand against Crystal Palace, which is coming up on Wednesday. And so it all depends on City to do their job, because if they slip then Arsenal wins on Sunday, then they win the Premier League. So that's the two possibilities that are to happen. If not, then it goes to the last day to win the championship. But I feel many people will say the decision yesterday will favor Arsenal. I don't really feel like it's going to favor Arsenal, because that particular situation of yesterday, which occurred with the disallowed goal from West Ham, is going to favor Tottenham Hotspur. That's the biggest beneficiaries of that particular decision.
How?
Looking at where they are,
West Ham slipped.
Tottenham Hotspur are above. They are now 1 point above West Ham. They play tonight against Leeds. Now, should they win their game, they go 4 points. Arsenal, City can still win all their games. Arsenal win all their games. It will decide it on the last day. But now, Tottenham Hotspur, why I say they are the biggest beneficiary of that particular decision, not even Arsenal, because City will be looking at Arsenal were just like they were just fortunate in that circumstance to see that the goal was disallowed. But it was mainly for Tottenham Hotspur, looking at where West Ham is. West Ham needed something from that particular game to go forward, because Tottenham still has Chelsea to play in their last game. So they feel like, and Chelsea and Everton, Tottenham had to play Everton on the last day. So they feel like if they had a draw yesterday, they would get something for favor from either Chelsea or Everton going into the last day. But now it has given Tottenham that belief that just one win can put Tottenham Hotspur.
A win tonight?
No, if they win tonight, it's 4 points. 2 games still remain. They need another win to get a safety for next football season. So that decision yesterday was not just for Arsenal were the minors to get that particular advantage, but I feel like Tottenham was. But looking at Arsenal, that game, it was a very nice week for us, winning Atletico and then coming to defeat West Ham United to get closer to the championship. I think that's really something that goes to the history of the club, you know, after 20 years, 22 years in winning the championship. It's really, I feel like these boys are actually getting it right. For the last 3-4 seasons, which Arsenal have found themselves in the title chasing campaign against City or Liverpool, this is the only moment they have the advantage right up to this point of the season. The 3 seasons they fought against City, City won the league almost 3 games to the end of the championship. Same last season with Liverpool. But this is the season where you see Arsenal fighting with 2 games to spare and they are on the advantage. And that's a very big giant step for Arsenal. And I feel like should they lose it, then it will be a miracle. But I'm confident that they are going to win it.
And yes, we are looking at match day 18 of the MTN Elite One Championship. It is PWD of Bamenda that gets back to her winning wins. Jimmy, take care.
Yes, you know, the season is, that's why I love the Marathon Championship. It's a format which it brings the passion, it brings the determination, it brings the drama that is involved in league football. Gone are the days where we play the two-pole league, where you see teams excelling in the league phase, and then when they go to the playoffs, there is the ties are turned around, and teams that you do not see them in the league phase are the ones winning. But this time around, you see that teams fight for points, teams fight for the glory, teams fight for consistency, and that's the drama. Now, Unisport, imagine that where Unisport is, if it were a 2-format league or a 2-pool league, you see that Unisport will be the team to beat in the playoffs, and they might not end up not winning the championship previously. But now they are on course of winning it because they know there is no playoffs. So that's the beauty of this particular championship. You sleep, you sleep. You are consistent, you are consistent. If you are not, but in the previous campaigns, you are consistent in the league phase, you are inconsistent in the playoffs, and you lose. So now, Bamenda, I think the game, like I said last week, that game they lost to Opopo was the game that put them down. They over-prepared that particular game. They wanted revenge. They wanted that bragging rights. They wanted the emotions were high, knowing how Opopo won them in the reverse fixture. So coming now to Bamenda, they knew they were going to crush Opopo, but not seeing how the game was going to be tough. Unfortunately, they lost that game, and that caused their series of defeats, which saw them. The last one was against Kotong Sports of Garwa, that gave them 5-2. So they had to come back from that psychological stress, defeating Pante, who to have gathered some form under Boateng Ebuele, but P had to gain something, because if you don't gain something at this point, it might be crucial for you going into the last games of the season. So that win was so crucial for P Bermuda yesterday against Pante. And going forward, their next games against Unisport, that's a team that stopped them. They are winning run.
Yeah, the 6-game winning streak in the first round.
So they will really want to try to do like a revenge, go back to winning ways at home, knowing that after they lost to Victoria United and a host of other teams at home, they want to now build from there. But like I said, the season is still far from over. But I would say Unisport this time around, they've come with a different face. They've come with a different mentality. We never saw Unisport at this point in time.
Definitely.
Now they look certain that they can hold on. That was the same thing their predecessor, Colombo of Jan Lobo, did last football season. They're a team where if they don't score, you don't score them. Look at Canon. Canon, when they knowing that it was a night game, they tried to play their game. Yes, the pre-match activities.
Definitely, I was going to come to that. I will beg on our technician to just flip it over the issue of Canon. I mean, with players being carried into the pitch, and after a few minutes, they go out and change away from the touchline. I mean, what do you make of this scenario?
No, it's not the first time this.
No, we normally used to have swords.
Yeah,
but today we are having something else.
Yeah, back in the
especially with bambutus of Buddha.
Yeah, you know, football in Africa, in Cameroon in particular, it comes with a little bit of the spirituality, not really focusing on the physical. Like in the past years, when Elexpo went to Kumba to play PWZ of Kumba, the memory works, there were a time when the players had to go from behind the fence. They never went through.
Okay, through the main entrance.
The main entrance. Okay. They went from behind. So these things are psychologically prepared to inflict this kind of psychological harm on the opponents. So what happened with Canon? They have been doing it. Canon, you know, they are a legendary club.
Yeah.
When they play against Tone, these things always pop up in the time when year of Canon Tone, those big fixtures in the yesteryears, these things always pop up. Especially when Canon is playing against Union. You know, Union and Canon, they were political rival clubs. So that always happened. So when I saw Canon doing that, it's something that had happened previously. So, but it was a way they felt like playing at night. There will be secrecy. There will be kind of black magic, all those things. So they had that psychological thinking that while Unisport is playing their games at night, there could be something spiritually hidden, which is causing Unisport to get those wins. So that's why they took him and said, no, this is night. We should be and that day rain fell. So
before the game.
That suspicion again also added to that particular incident. But it's football. Football nowadays, normally a normal footballer will tell you there is nothing like black magic in football. It's just that the Africans that believe that they will short things.
I take you to the Confederations Cup. If I'm not making a mistake, I think that game was Sunderland and an opponent. The opponent got to the pitch first with a bottle of Fanta. I posted that some months back and went to the goal post, their own goal. In fact, they went to one of the goal posts and poured the Fanta inside the goal post. And it created a lot of controversy. The opponent saw it, decided to rush to the goal post so that they could try to wash the hand. Now, you see these actions and you ask yourself
it's an African belief that black magic always
I'm putting it to you, Ngome. Do you think that this black magic is real?
Well,
especially in football.
I can't really
say
categorically that black magic exists.
Okay.
But majority of the Africans who are involved in football management believe that black magic actually exists. So Canon actually going there, looking at Unisport playing their games at night
and
winning and then put theirs 8:15. That game was to start at 8:15. So Canon already knew that game there is a little bit of manipulation. So, and knowing that you are going to Bafang, the West region, is not a ground that you go there easily and get 3 points. So I just feel like that was what happened, but there is really nothing that is involved in like black magic in football.
Okay, let me ask the question to Ngome. Ngome, are you for the fact that teams, let's say in Africa, make use of black magic and it works for them, or do you believe that it's actually black magic in football?
Well, I won't go for that. I mean, we've seen football should be treated and respected.
Like the Malians,
yes,
who were fooled by a witch doctor that they were going to win the AFCON. This AFCON. This 2025.
Yes, Morocco, okay.
2025. The man came up with a prophet. He called the Senegalese businessman, the Malian businessman, saying that the Mali was going to win the AFCON.
Okay, a traditionalist,
and they gathered monies and paid the man. I even brought that topic, one of my topics of fan zone, and there were a lot of reactions about
black magic.
Yeah. So it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was saying, I don't believe in that in football. I mean, football, if we look at the numbers that Unisport have been racking, they are not where they are by mistake. They have had these guys didn't even start the championship the way they are enjoying it at the moment. So you understand that they have gone behind and they've reevaluated. And I mean, few of the sides that are coming from the Elite 2, and they have even managed to hold on to their management up to this moment, even when things were not going so well for them. So we should rather celebrate Laurent Jam and what he has accomplished with Le Flambeau du West, and rather than bringing up scenes like this. It's unfortunate that even Canon of Yaoundé, who I think for the past 5 years or so, I think that we could easily pick out as a potential Elite 1 winner, coming up with scenes like this. Not once, not twice. This is the second time against Bambutu Sombuda. Maybe they believe in what they are practicing, but it doesn't really put up a good image for the championship that is really getting its face together. And hopefully they proceed to... I would really like to see someone live up to try to shaking up Unisport at this moment, because we are still at match day 19 moving on forward. Everything is still open for everyone to play, because I think from second to third they are all divided by goals, and from the 4th to the 9th position is just a gap of a point. So the upcoming days are still very critical. But when we look at teams like Colombe, the way they have transformed themselves and moving on forward, it speaks of like that one person who can really move up to shaking in Unisport of Bafang. But with that notwithstanding, everyone will have to fasten up their boots in order to change the scenario for themselves. Like Victoria United, had they gotten a win in against Menua, it would have taken them up to 3rd position. But I don't understand how they will flip from that. Coincidentally, they will be back home to play Aigle Royal of Menua, and we'll see how it goes from there. I mean, it's like a successive game. Aigle, Victoria United, then Victoria United, Aigle of Royal of the Menua. So we'll see how it goes on from there. But the next coming days will be really efficient for the championship and electric as well.
Definitely. You're talking about the days to come. Mind you, the next games for Unisport is going to be out. And her last game at home is going to be on the last day of play against Dynamo Football Club of Douala. She will expect a lot of intensity, especially from their opponents that are going to be receiving them knowing that this is a team that needs points to why not carry on this title? I mean, what should we expect, or what should you be expecting from the opponents that are going to be receiving Unisport?
Well, every opponent now looks at Unisport to be the team to beat, just like how Colombo of John Olombo were the team to beat last football season. So you are playing Unisport knowing that you have two things involved: you win your points and then you stop them from extending their lead. Yeah, now they drop points, and maybe Colombo had a chance to get closer with 9 points now after it was, I think, 11. So you see that Unisport at this point in time, yeah, they have an experienced manager. Guy will stand by. He has been an Elite One product, like I said last week, for a very long time. They've had some series of Elite One players in their ranks. Laurent Jam himself, with his time at Bambutus, with his time as UMS of Loom, he has been an experienced lad, experienced gaffer. You can't take him out of that picture. He has been in this business for more than 20 years. So he knows how to win it. He knows how to go out there and get the vital points. So at this point, you look at his challengers. Now, there is this thing. I feel like Unisport is going to win it because you don't really see Colombo. Yeah, Colombo had those ups and downs moments in the championship. We know of the Super Cup final. Yeah. We know of the suspensions and so forth, going for court cases and so forth. That again have affected them. Dinamo started, they've changed a manager. So you don't really see them. P. Baminda were trying, but they are further, they're picking order. Cotton Sports of Garua, their problem is not even David Pago. You look at the Cotton Sports of Garua, they can't really get near where these clubs are. And now where Cameroon football is, it is not all about the organization of the football. It is all about who can spend the cash on certain things that occur on the field of play. If you look at the past champions in the Elite One Championship, you will see that these teams are not really worthy winners. Bet for Colombo, look at our, apart from Coton, who went to the CAF Champions League group stage. Which champion has ever gone to the CAF Champions League group stage?
Okay, you're categorizing it based on how far they go continentally. Yes. I want to get it straight.
Does it? Then I'm coming there. They look at the way the championship is being run. You look at in the fact that the Coton in their days ran like an association. There was that collective or something. But if you look at the recent champions now, you see that individuals have more power in deciding games, in doing because you won't understand how these clubs have closed the gap on Coton. Coton used to be the hub of the best players in the championship back in the days. Yeah, their title-winning campaign in 2022 had Che Malong, had Anye Derrick, had the cream of big names. But today you find them not having those. If you remove Felix Okene, you don't really see Coton. That's why I said, if you look at this present Cameroon football cycles, it is going for those who can easily, single-handedly make those decisions. I'm talking of the club executive, unlike Coton. So that's why I said Unisport is going all the way to win this championship. As it stands, it can only be a miracle should Unisport doesn't win this championship this season. As it stands.
Talking about miracles, the under-20 Lionesses were struggling to find a miracle. But unfortunately for them, they needed more blessings, needed more prophecies for that miracle to find it. When we talk about the under-20 Lionesses, many people remember the good old days of Naomi Eto'o, who carried the country on her shoulders in terms of the under-20 category where they participated in the World Cup. But unfortunately, Team Cameroon has been ousted to participate in the upcoming under-20 Women's World Cup. Team Yateke, a sad one for Cameroon.
Yeah, it had to be a sad one for us. Normally, Hassan Bala, he has been there, he has done an incredible job. But normally, this under-7, these youth teams in national teams or in countries, they are passerbys. When you play, when you shine in a particular tournament, like a few years ago, those players are graduated to
the
the next
level.
majority of them. So that continuity, you always wait from the previous category. So where we failed in this particular situation is at the level of the under-17s. Now we had an upcoming vibrant team at the under-17s, which was being built by Brian Doko.
Yeah.
Now, if we were serious enough, then you will see Ndoko, there was a big mistake to sack Ndoko, who had that beautiful team, whereas it was a team for the future.
Was he sacked? I think he was temporarily.
No, suspension is sacked.
Suspension.
You know, where there's anything of Cameroon,
where
suspension, you know, sacked.
No, we cannot say that suspension.
No,
I think we should put it suspended.
No.
Yes, we should put it at the level of suspension.
We are talking about Cameroon context.
Okay.
Now, but I'm not really looking at that. But I said it was a big mistake first.
Definitely, because till now, no verdict has been set.
To make so now, you look at that team, that under-17 team. Majority of them, after playing the AFCON under-17 AFCON last year, majority of them were to be transferred to the under-20s to beef up that squad, like how Naomi Eto'o left from the under-20 and went to the senior team. Now 7 players, right, who opposed Ndoko's suspension were dropped from the under-17 squad to go to the AFCON, which was a bigger blow, and saw the under-17 losing all 3 games. In the World Cup even. It's not even the
the World Cup.
The World Cup. And those same players were dropped from this under-20. They were because you take the best from the previous
squad,
that's where the likes of Eto'o, the likes of Jeremy, the likes of Boma came in from the Olympic team to the senior team and won 2 AFCONs. So you take those players. That's how. Even you could go for Spain. Koke, who is the captain of Atletico Madrid, they came from when they won the UEFA under-21s. I think in 2012, 18, they were there. The young Mata, those were the players who came from that squad to beef up the Spanish national team, take over Javis, the Iniestas. That's how things work. So our failure is not about the performance, but what we did. We shot ourselves dearly by not having those players, those top players from the under-17s to the under-20s. We saw how those top players were not in the under-17s. We suffered. And now again, it was time for them to graduate, having that open check to be called up, but they were not called up. Hassan Bala has been there. He has seen these under-17s players being played. Why not extend a hand? 7 of them were absent from this squad that went to play against in these qualifiers. Now we managed to get to this final round where Tanzania now, it was now a game of experience, it was now a game of resilience, because you win 3-1 at home, you go away, it's a different ball game. Now that resilience was needed, that touch, that individual brilliance, we never had it, and that was the key, because if we had those individual players who were good, who were decisive, you go there, you have that, like what Doku is doing with Man City. He's the one carrying Man City at this point in time. That's what we lacked. And so once you lack those players, it is difficult for you to actually go there and get the win. And that's what has killed us, because we don't believe in continuity. We don't believe in, how do I put it, stage by stage. We always try to destroy what we are trying to build. And that has been the situation with our team. That sacking on Ndoko was a very big problem. And because of that, we can't go anywhere. And I feel sorry for the girls. I feel sorry for Hassan Bala, because he has been handling this team. He cannot you can't have the same squad you have a few years ago, because those girls have graduated. Now you are building a new team. How do you start building when the person who was trying to build for you was sacked and that project was destroyed? Now you can't get anything to build from scratch. So that's where the problem is. So there is need for us to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, ask ourselves, why then did we sack this guy? Those are the questions. If we had not sacked this guy, this other
Maybe.
man could have been a perfect foundation for this guy and a perfect foundation for the senior team. That's where we have problems. So I think the girls now have to come in, and we have to restructure. We have to look at the best. Bring back Doku. He has had two instances in our women's football. When he took over Ngacho, he started building a new team that was to take Cameroonian women's football to another level, where Ngacho left it. Ngacho left us in the final in Cameroon, took us to the Olympics. In 2018, we went to Ghana. We didn't perform well, but we finished third.
Top 3, yeah.
That game, that tournament proved that there was no vacancy left. That Doko had already, Doko was the real perfect shoe, our perfect man to fit in the shoes of Ngacho. But 6 months to the World Cup in France, he was sacked, bringing in Jofak. So that alone, then again you brought back Doko, the same federation brought back Doko, and then sacked him 3 months, or at least 3 weeks to the start
Yeah, it
of
was 3 or
World
2
Cup.
weeks.
So those are the areas which we failed. We don't believe in projects. We don't believe in success. We always try to look at things of the extraordinary, whereas it's a process.
Definitely, just like what Senegal has been doing.
That's it. So I feel for Cameroon, I feel for the ladies, but it had to be the way it is.
Well, I'll come in terms of, I think one thing also that contributed, the guys, the Tanzanians had their game plan. I think they left Yaoundé with that goal, they scored and understood what they were going to do.
For, yeah.
Yeah, back in Zanzibar. And if we would like to weigh Cameroon and Tanzania in terms of investments in women's football, this it's not really an equilibrium if you put them on a scale, because these are two countries where their football it's really in terms of development. Yeah, Tanzania.
In all categories or just the women?
No, in all youth football,
categories,
categories. Because we find ourselves in a situation where Jamie has spoken about the administrative part, but when we go now on the field as well, you find a situation where there are some points in which there are very large vacuums in terms of game times, how congealing these teams are, and level of investments that they're playing. Because if you look at the Sekafa zone where these guys are in, they play a lot of competition. Exactly, they play the Kagame Cup, they play the Sekafa Cup at the under 17 level, the under 15, the under 20, and even the under 23. And at some point, they get even invited to the COSAFA competition. And while we are here, not even getting. We only rely on the Guinness Super League, which is only sponsored by Guinness. And after the Guinness Super League, we barely have other competitions to really look at these kids, to keep these kids occupied. You look at the gaps between the end of season and year on and so forth. And this is something that it's not only going to affect the under-20s. The women's AFCON has been shifted to August. We have seen, I think, a second FIFA window will be coming up. We haven't seen any activity around the women's national team. And we will be hoping to go and perform at a tournament where we qualified based on expansion rules.
Yeah.
So you get it. It's the same thing. Maybe there was chaos here and there, but when we look at investments, particularly even clubs from which these girls were selected from, how much of extra miles are the club owners injecting into seeing that their businesses with these kids survive and succeed? That's a very big question mark. I mentioned big competitions that are being played, and so they are virtually absent in the UNIFAC zone. And this is something that we will have to tackle it if we want to succeed. And the Under-17 African Cup of Nations is coming up. When I weigh our group in terms of these investments, the male category, exactly, and our team in particular, I get frightened. I get frightened because I see a repetition of what has been occurring with this particular contingent of the team. But with the under-20, it's just that ability of understanding that players come and go. So we have to stretch a system the system
that
is
fits
working.
both
Exactly.
the senior or the category ahead and the category
The
behind.
system is working in South Africa. The system is working in most parts of East Africa. And that's why their women's football is growing yearly. And the system is working even in Cote d'Ivoire. North Africa, it's flourishing everywhere. So we have to build a system in which we are training our young players, even right up to the under 23, where we still believe that even we are going for an Olympic team, we still have to handpick players from Europe and there. There should be a model in which we are drilling players in the youth category. But unfortunately, it is absent, and at some points we make last minute changes hoping to see that major competitions turn out in our favor. Like you spoke about Naomi Eto'o, we had been seeing Naomi Eto'o even up onto that FIFA World Cup, which was not entirely a perfect one for Cameroon, because we didn't go out of the group stage. We've seen the likes of Nigeria as well, and it explains why Nigeria, at some point, we see them excelling at the toppest level in the women's football, because when you see Unumunu and the likes of Francisca Odega and all the other players, they are not really present in the team, but it looks like nothing has changed in the squad, in the team. So this is the model, and it is completely absent in Cameroon. Maybe we'll get to talk about the under-17 Lions, but I still talk about it because when you examine this, you do a cross-section of all these situations. You weigh Cameroon in the group which they are playing at the under-17 World Cup. We might not really excel in that pool because of this main reason.
So you're questioning the tactics of
the system put in place by the FA for these young guys.
But now another worry is this. Jamie, you talked about the project that the coach Joseph had for the under-17 Lionesses. Now, do you think that if, for instance, another coach who is put in place in that position develop such a project, or this project that we are talking about that has been beneficial to other countries, and presents it to the FA, that I think that for us to fit our various categories, this is what we are supposed to do. Do you think that the Federation is going to put it behind?
There are a lot of nations in Africa are doing football revolution.
Yes, very correct.
Now there is this project which is ongoing, which started with the Belgians, the Uruguays, the Germans, and even the English. Now it is not all about you getting these under-17s graduate from the under-20s. It's all about doing what they call a systematic scouting, both in and out of the country. Now if you look at Benin, they too are starting something. They are looking at putting what they call scouting officers in top European countries. Most of the if you look at, they are following Senegal's model. Because most of Senegalese players are
Cameroon did that for the
born in France, but it's not effective. Now this is how the effective works. Just like the Moroccans did that same experiment and it's working for them. Now you get this under-17s, those you pay them. The Japanese are doing that, where they are paying those scouts from their nationals. They take trips to maybe England, Germany. Scout, they start looking at them from the 8 years, 9 years, and when they start developing, 15 years old, 16 years old, they start graduating them, putting them projects, putting them the mindset of their country, so that when they start getting to the under-17s, they are getting to the under-20s, under-23s. By the time they get into the senior team, they already have that national team connection,
that awareness in them.
But now, if you look at our under-17, almost all of them are home-based players. There is no, and see where we are caught up with wrongdoings. No home-based players. We take the under-17 team that won in 2019 in Tanzania. Those players were good. The Equaries, Manfred, and the host of others who were in that particular team. Now look at from 2019 to now, that's close to about 21 years or 22. None of those players are nowhere to be found. Now we take different players to fit them in the under-23s. Maybe those players have had second best in Europe, the binationals. Now you bring them from the 23s without necessarily passing them to the under-17. How do you expect those players to perform? They can't perform because a player like we used to have a player like Buemo, Magri, who have already represented the French national team at the under 17. Those players can't perform the way they will perform like a player who has played the under 17, under 23s, you understand? So that's the problem which we have in Cameroon. And the earlier we adjust this particular syndrome, the better for us. If you look at even our under 20 girls, majority of those players play from the Guinea Super League. You have only a few, a handful of them who are on from outside. Because of this, when these players start getting into the senior team, that's when now you start seeing Cameroonian players who have been developed by those maybe European countries, and you start going for them. Those players can never come and represent us 100%.
Yeah.
That has been the problem which we are facing here in Africa, and that was what killed Thomas Liby's team in the World Cup in Brazil after they won the under 17, because the law of the parliament said that binationals are not found
eligible
not eligible to take part in the under 17. That is the biggest blunder, and this puts the federation now to question what is their relation. Remember, I talked about football management. It's all about there are 4 key things. You have the politics, you have the diplomacy, you have the sport, and you have the there's one other aspect. Now the politics and the diplomacy are key. Security, that's one. The politics and the diplomacy is what you play with the government, because if FIFA is saying that they work with government in terms of hosting rights and so forth, you as a federation have to also work with governments in making policies that benefit football. Now, how come that law was in parliament and the federation could not meet the government and say, hey, this law is very it's not advantageous to Cameroon's football growth? That wasn't the case. That's why Etienne Eto'o couldn't play in that team, because those laws were in place, and Libya could not do anything possible to get his team to top notch in the World Cup in Brazil. So you see that this is a whole big problem, and question the federation for that. Now you ask a question that why can Doko not meet for the federation? It's not the federation.
No, I was citing an example.
The sporting director.
Yes, I was citing an example that a coach comes out with such a project.
The Germans have a sporting director. A sporting director comes in with that project and gets the federation on board that, hey, this is how we are working.
Yeah.
If we are to look at getting scouting officers that go to other countries and sponsor them and scout these young talents in those countries who were, for circumstances, had their birth in those countries, how can we trigger them to come play for Cameroon? You start from there and then you build up a philosophy. That's what the Moroccans are doing. They have mapped out a strategy whereby every Moroccan-based European player must come and have a feel in any of the clubs, academies in Morocco from the under 17th. So that by the time you get to some level of the national team, maybe the under 23s or the senior team, you're already acclimatized with the system. That's what they are doing, and it's working for them. We've seen where Morocco is in terms of their football, their development. They are working on strong at the under 17. They are working on strong at the under 20s, even at the under 23s. They are also doing great. Defeating Argentina in the under 20 World Cup is not biscuit. That's to tell you how far they have gone, and these are the things that they are doing. But we are failing it because we don't have that structure. It is not the problem of the coach. It's the problem of you having a sporting director who knows football management, who knows how to build tactics, who knows how to build a project for a football nation. We've seen that work with Germany. We've seen that work with England. We've seen that work with Spain. We've seen that work with Uruguay. The Suarez, the Cavani's came from those kind of projects. So how are we feeling? If we are start feeling in our under 20s, both in the men's and women's, how then do we expect our national team to be good in the next 4 or 5 years? Those are the questions we ask ourselves. So there is need for a project, a federation to come out with something and
Definitely.
tell to the government.
Definitely, as Jamie Ateke has said, there is need for the Federation to look into this problem. And why not propose a long-lasting solution so that in the future to come, the Cameroon that people used to know in terms of football are going to talk about with pride. And equally, our studio clock says that it's time for us to get out of the studio. But before that, Ngome Michael, it's going to be a bad, shall I say, season, as the under-20 Lionesses of Cameroon will not be participating in terms of the under-20 Women's World Cup, unlike Tanzania, Benin, Nigeria, and Ghana.
Well, that's definitely, I mean, we should look ourselves honestly in the mirror and speak out our problems and then try to address them. It looked almost possible from Yaoundé, but touching down in Zanzibar, things overturn, and that's football for you anytime, any day. And hopefully we get to see how we make sure that we are objective to the football and not attach feelings to it, ideas to it, and maybe those who are against our ideas should be sidelined from a team. And it's all about working for the good of the sport. It's football
for the country.
Yeah, exactly. If football is our king sport, it should be reflected. It's not all about the seniors, because pride comes from the juniors. Yeah. And if we apply that progress, that system where promotions means going up to continuity, it will greatly help every level of our national team, which is something that is absent. And the only time we get hopeful is when we are preparing for a major competition, and we are often left disappointed. Well, we are moving on to that, and it's a new reality for us, and hopefully we have to see the under-17 Lions, who I think by midweek this week will have to kick off in the African Nations Cup in Morocco.
Definitely. And yesterday they had their checks in terms of getting their competition IDs over there in Morocco, and hoping that the atmosphere too, it is calm as what we want, because with the ousting of the Lionesses, the under-20 Lionesses out of the under-20 Women's World Cup, all hopes now rely on the under-17 who are currently in Morocco. Once more, thank you very much, Jamie Ateke and the likes of Ngome Mike, for gracing my set on this edition of the program. And yet, it's time for us to go out there once more and gather our various news, sports updates rather, to bring it to you live and direct. And equally, I have been Senator Nguni, and a reminder that we are exactly 1 month to the 2026 FIFA World Cup with June 11, the date for the kickoff. Mind you, it is Morocco, America, and the likes of Canada that will be hosting this particular edition of the competition, where Mexico City is going to be the kick-off venue for this particular competition. And we have a whole lot of packages that will be kept for you when the competition has to start. And equally, I had technical assistance from David, and equally, it was a beautiful time to be with you. Do not touch this dial, as news hour will be right away with Frida Lena. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.